Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, my name is Sunesha and we are creating a map for city Skylines. Today we're gonna make one of these volcano ridges. I wanted to show you guys how to make one of these for a long time, but I decided I wanted to get some more experience. After all, this is my first ever city Skylines map I made, so now I finally find a simple method to make this simple and easy. I also wanted to take the time to thank Mr. Miyagi from Steam. He has one of the greatest written guides how to make maps in City Skylines, and he's been nice enough to feature my YouTube series on that guide. So yeah, that is a very good endorsement and I'm very honored about this. So we are drone flying here very slowly over this ridge, as you can see. What we are talking about. So this is the end result of what we're gonna do today. So let's get on to it, and I will clip this out. And here we have the assignment for today. So let's get that fog away so we can see what we are doing. So the thing is, when we are starting with one of these volcano ridges, we kind of like want to scope things out. As you can see, I've sketched up a random shape here. So we have the highest point here, the middle point here, and the lower one and the base here. And the first thing that I notice is that it's a little bit more wider if I compare it to this ridge over here, which is supposed to be the same kind of ridge. So if I take the middle value there and there, I can directly see that this will be a very triangular shape. So the shape we are looking for is more this shape. I'm very slow. Sorry, my English is failing me here. But this shape, you can see that we have it's almost straight up here, and then it kind of gently bends out there. My English adjectives is not enough to describe what I'm there. Hopefully you will see here. So the first thing we will be using level tools here to get a good scope of things. So the first thing we want to thin it out. So what I usually do is start with a round level here, as this everything is really flat here, will make this very easy. So what we want to do is to shave off a lot of things here. I don't like this one. So what we carefully will start shaving off just a bit. And so yes, so this is kind of the placeholder for where the volcano ridges will come here. So that's why I've drawn everything up, so I can see how I can imagine how everything will look when I'm done with things. That's the reason why I'm doing it. Otherwise, if you just work on one island at a time, you don't see how they work together in conjunction with each other. So we are more or less, if we check the base here, I think we are getting there. So we get the slope there. So I think we might have to shave off in the middle. I like the top part here. If we look at the lines there, I think that is good, and then we smooth it out a bit. So let's get with the smaller brush, and we will just grab the value here and start clicking. This is kind of how I do it. The easiest method, just click here until we get the slope that looks pleasing. Don't worry about it being craggy or anything. This is just to get slope out of it. So you can see here me clicking here, and until I get the shape I want. It's easier actually to do this in this kind of view, because then you can exactly see the slope you will want to have. So yeah, let me do this for a while, and we will come back to doing the rest of it. So now you can see that I have hollowed it out and we get a nice slope. We have these pointy things which really annoys me, so let me first deal with those very fast. So I will just grab the value and just even them out a bit, because it drives me crazy. get away with the attempt, and then we can see that we have a nice slope here. So what we want to do now is to do the same thing like we did before. And a good value to, if it will work in that, it depends also how big you do stuff. If you do something super big, you probably have to work in many different layers. Let me explain when I did this one, the sketch of this one. It was like 5 levels of what I was doing now, and this lower one, which is just 200 units high, or it means City Skylines will not require so many levels of working with this here. So I will grab a value around here, and then I will do the same thing here. I will also fill this out, so we will. And then I can grab that value there and just fill it out. Oops. So it's tricky with those values. Okay. Okay, so now I can... 127 was the value I was looking for, wasn't it? Okay. And then I can just go here. So if you want to save time, one of the benefits of working with this method with the volcano ridges is when I kind of click in the values here. So when we go on our second pass here, we already have a natural ridge thing because we have clicked it in. As you can see, we got natural ridges here. So if you want to save time, not to work so much on this, you can actually try to follow those ridges. So you kind of click a little bit between there and work like this and just follow the lines here. So if I have to click closer to the wall. There I have to click a little bit longer from the wall. And that way I can follow those ridges just like I extended the beach. So let me do this for a while. So there we go. I choose to go this second pass. I choose to go a little bit outwards so we get a nice slope. So I think we will go one more pass here just to get that slope to work there. So we want, this time around, I don't want to click so close to the wall, so I want to click it around. That was a little bit too close. I think I want to click here. So we get a nice finishing slope. As you can see there, we started to slope out there. I'm just going to show you here, because this is a very good example how we can use a current mistake and make something of it. We can see that we have a very big bend there. So I will actually push it and use it here. So I push very, if you look upwards from it, I push it around there. And I will push this one here. And then just one click there to smooth things out a bit like this. And then we get a natural ridge going here. This is a technique that I start with. You can always refine it in another process. You can go it over. So now we are more or less done. Let's see here. We have got a very nice shape. I've got a very nice volcano ridge shape here, which my pointy things actually help me out a bit. So this is fine. So what I do in the last part is just click on the ground level, right click on the ground level, and then just do it, smooth it out here. We're gonna go over the smoothing tools a bit here. I'm actually using the ridges we have here, that's why I'm looking for the natural ridges like there, and then I just exaggerate them by even that doesn't click there, so we get a nice shapy base here. This is after all only around 5 minutes work so far. So yes, you can go in and do detail work, but this will lead to a very good start for you to base your volcano ridge on. So that's why I wanted to wait with the videos while doing this because, yes, it took me quite a while. It's a reason for me that I am working a lot on the fringe islands on my map here, is because this is kind of the main area of my island. So when I arrive to that one, I will have all this volcano making experience that I can put to good use. So when we are making the main volcano, it will look beautiful. And that is why I work so much on these fringe islands, because yes, it gives me free experience to do so. But I will share my tips and tricks, of course. This is, after all, documenting my whole series of making this map. So we are just working here, and I'm really exaggerating things here. We would probably go in here and make things here, but just with helping, with a click, with a small brush, with a 1/3 value, we have made something that took me in the beginning to get a similar result for me before I found out this easier shortcut of doing this. This was before like 2 hours work for me. And I have done this in 30 minutes of recording, and you will see the speed up version. And I think the result is quite decent, especially if we get shadows in here. And this is just something I haven't really worked on it, but it still looks very interesting, and it still looks volcano-like. So we're done the main part here, so we have this part here. So this is an interesting part, because here we meet water meet volcano ridge part. So for making this really obvious what we are doing here, I will fill it in with sand. So I will speed it up here, or I will cut until I painted this with sand. Well, ladies and gentlemen, I've painted this with the sand now, so we can see how it will look. Let me cut to a part where I've already done the work, so you can see what we're gonna do. So here we can see the finishing work of a volcano ridge is that extending itself down to the water base level. This is just that I'm trying out different techniques. One technique that works really well is to go to lowest sea level possible, and then just extend these ridges all the way down to the sea base. Once this is a kind of compromise, you can see that I've done it over here at the mountain. So what I basically have done is that I put the water level is around 90 here, and we have around 70 here, which creates this extension, so it looks kind of natural. I've done it over here too, as you can see. So it looks kind of, and we have more over here. So let me show you how to make the base here. I'm choosing to make the base on this side a little bit more harder slope, because this is the inside of the volcano, which is often more shallow and not that deep that's on the outside. But currently we are dealing with more or less a 90 degrees slope, which is not ideal. So what we will start with is to fill this out to 70, because this is now at 85 and my sea level is there. And it kind of looks boring if you look at this, if you just extend the water down there, and that is just 5 value. By deepening this out to 70, we will have the illusion that the ridge exactly stands down below water. So let's start with that. And the simple part is, yes, this is a simple part. What I usually start with is the smallest possible brush size, which is 51. I used to like to use the very round one for this, because this is super, there is no fading at the edges, so I can follow the edges. And then I just input my terrain value, which is 20 below 90, we have sea level, and 20 below is 70, so we get this extension. So we get this nice extension here. And then you can click, but I feel a good experience with this, so I can draw, but you can click if you feel like you don't want to destroy the futures. You can actually just click it in. Just click it in, and when you see the as you can see, it's creeping up on the wall there. That means it will affect those pixels. So by staying just outside before it creeps up for the wall, you can follow this without destroying the features you have made here. Usually I just paint it in. So I will speed this up. Another tip I can give you, in case you're not aware of this, is that usually work by small clickers, because if I do it like this, and when I've drawn a long line, I can just control theta. If you press control theta, you can just undo what you have done. It's a very, if you didn't know, I just did it without thinking, because that is the main undo value in like just about everything. Well, ladies and gentlemen, if you don't know how to remove the water, you just go inside here in the water menu, and then you click this one, move sea level, and you can put it at 0. And make good note of your sea level, the natural sea level. In my case, it's 90, which is custom value. On most maps, it's 40. So when you want to reset your water to natural sea level, you have to input the value again. So you don't. But in case you forget, most maps have 40 for some reason. Well, I made the groundwork and followed the shoreline behind my volcano ridge, so I want to make some space so we can expand our slope here, because if we expand it right now, it will hit our new value. So what I get, this is not something rocket science here, but what I actually do, the reason why I go with a smaller size is then it makes it really easy to just paint in the last part here, without having to fear to hit the shoreline of the ridge. So cool, so we are done with this part. So now we will want to add a slope to this one. Let me show the example of somewhere where I've already done it, like you can see here. I don't like that hump there, but as you can see, how I made this slope is very simple, and I'm gonna show you how. And what I use is the smooth tool, and then I will want to have one of these brushes that has a soft edge. I actually prefer to have water here, because otherwise the sand is so apparent. So let's reset the water. So now we get a little bit easier for ourselves. So what I look for, it depends on how big, how much you want to affect things. So what I want to have is lower my brush strength a bit, and then I want to find a brush size that what we are looking at is the opposite what we just did before. This time we want to affect these pixels on the side here, and we want to blend them in between it. And if you what is soften tool? Yeah, so soften, blur, and everything is all about averaging things out. So we're gonna average the things out from the very high slope there, the height value over here, the very high and the very low here. So we get a slope, and we can use this tool to make this easier, and then we can grab it like this. It can be a little bit tricky before you find. I think I want to go with a little bit smaller brush here, because it's affecting too much. So I'm finding the right size. I wanted to not affect the top of it so much. And then you can smooth it out. And as you can see here, without a lot of work, we actually have a ridge going here. And this way you can pull this out. Maybe I regret my decision and I want to go a little bit higher. And now you can see we are getting a slope very easily from a very straight edge. This can be a little bit tricky work. Remember, you have the control theta to undo the things here. So what I'm just gonna do is add, and you can pull it out like this too, if you want to, like that. So you can work with the smooth tool to average between the two height values, and that way you can create a slope without having to use the level tools. I prefer to use this technique, especially. So what I'm going to do is now it's clicking between the values here, because we got the slope there, so I average it out and then I can pull it again. So what this is kind of what we did with level tool, but I think this technique works very well if you are working with making a straight angle. I think you can if you are patient enough, probably you think you can even create a whole volcano ridge just by using the smooth tool or soften tool. So now we kind of work our way here, and you can see there we got a nice slope going here. So yes, I think it's when you're working with slopes and mountains, I think it's very important to you can work from this side too. This can make it easier to see when something looks weird, but I prefer to work in this angle and then just do anything. So what we have more or less done now has been working on the slope down there. So if you want to smooth the things out a bit in the middle of it, you get a hump or something you don't like, you can always get in with a smaller one, and you can see here this will straighten. This was to turn things straight again. So I like to smoothen the top a bit. So I do it quite randomly. So let's see what we have created without here. So now we can see this is a very smooth thing. You're supposed to add ridges, but it's really hard to add ridges with the help of smooth tool. But as you can see, we have a good base of how to make the backside over here. This method, however, when you don't have such a harsh slope, actually create a quite decent result from the beginning. But we are dealing with a much gentler slope that is going like this. In compared to this one, where we want to have a more steeper slope. But so yeah, so that is the basic way how to make a volcano ridge in 27 minutes recording minus all the talking. So yeah, and this is a good year. A random tip I can give also. The brush size is kind of depends on the size of things. Now we are working with a very small volcano ridge, which means when you're doing your level work and your smooth work, especially your level work, and we want these natural ridges, you are bound to want to have a very small brush to make the ridges and stuff. So when you're painting this in, you want to have small. But if we take, for example, this area over here, I went with the, let me think. I think I worked around this size. Just because make everything bigger, because a bigger volcano ridge has, of course, bigger ridges. It's not like the mountain ridges kind of expands with its size. So of course you can combine doing big ridges with small ridges. So this viewing area is awful when you see everything. So what I will do now in the speed up video is gonna show you how to add ridges to this. And so this is more or less let's see the topography. We already have our work cut out for us. What I kind of do will be doing in the speed up video is just showing you there. So if we're going with the up and down tool, the shift tool, you with the left click, you with left click you raise something, and the right click you lower something. So this is kind of my work, and then I work with a small value, so I can just push and pull. I can pull this up, and as you can see there, it was more apparent when I did there. So that is what I kind of done over here. Just pull things up, create ridges, and as you can see, at the more larger volcano, I've been working with a much larger brush too, but you can see I've been using the same technique. So that was everything for this video, and I hope it will has been helpful for you. And that was everything. And as always, thank you for watching.